I was like, this is an interview. Why would he do that? He ain't at work. But how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How's
Man,
it going?
I've been,
Finally got this hooked up.
yeah, I've been better and I've been worse, but I'm all right right now. Shit, man.
All right. So how's the format? How's this kind of go?
Oh man, we already started, homeboy.
Oh, we already started. Here we go.
Yeah. But I mean, legitly, I mean, how are you, dude?
So we're going right into it.
Yeah, yeah, this is it, man. We
This
here.
is it.
We ain't got no party. We ain't got no antics. We ain't got no gimmicks. We ain't got
No
nothing.
prep.
We just here right now.
We're here right now. How am I? This seems like such a simple question, but it's always a lot more loaded than that, right?
Nah, man, it's as much as you want to divulge, man. It's just like I know personally, since you are a businessman, one being your business is professional wrestling. These times are doing quite a number on y'all, and it's just weird. It used to be you can just go on wherever and do whatever you want, make your money, make it perfect your trade and whatnot. But that's kind of scarce under the circumstances. But
It's I'm so glad you brought up this topic because this is the third podcast I've done in the past couple of weeks, and we haven't really touched on how different wrestling is right now,
yes,
and just the dynamics. This has never happened before. This is something that's crazy. It's spiraled many businesses, but just kind of focusing on mine, the business of professional wrestling. It's a completely different landscape now. And in many ways, I was very fortunate to be among, the top companies in the US and to have at least a spot at the table when everything kind of started shaking back up again. With that being said, I feel like us at MLW are really kind of fighting for survival, just like everybody else.
yeah,
We haven't had many events lately. It's a little longer in between chances to get in the ring, but at least we get to keep doing what we love. At least we still got a spot at the table. But hey, it's a dog eat dog world out there, and I'm doing what I can to prepare myself for the next opportunity. Always.
yeah, and that's kind of like what I wanted to hit on and everything. Because usually, most of your time, I mean, 13-year veteran, right?
It's 11.
11-ish. All right. So 11 years has just been time putting in, going up and down the road, perfecting your craft, trying to add new things to your persona and your character, everything. And now it's just skirt. So that in between time that you were speaking of, to where you're not sure when the next show is, and or hell, I mean, when can you get into a gym or whatever? Under these circumstances,
Where do
what
you
have
live,
you been
Rob?
doing to kind of focus your mind and just keep busy, essentially?
Yeah. What part of the country are you living?
I am in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. And what's the situation out there right now? Is it? I know I'm in near Atlanta right now, and we haven't been the most responsible when it comes to this whole thing
No, I seen a
statewide.
lot of
We've been the
concerts
laughing
going on
stock
out
of
there.
everyone. But I'm just wondering what's like in Texas right now.
Well, here, some places are open, but they do it at a limited capacity. So, like, if you say you want to go to Red Robin or some kind of burger place or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, you can go in, and it's like you can sit at a table, but like the next three tables over are blocked off. You can't sit
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
They being cautious with how they place people in establishments. Some of them is just you order the food, you come pick it up, you get the hell out. You know, or in Walmart's still open. That's
Yeah.
got
Okay. So similar situation.
yeah.
Yeah. Just asked because I go down there for the wrestle MLW, and Florida's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
do this. And then I go to a plane. Literally, I come from Boston, and everyone's walking around. It seems like in bubble suits. It's like they got literal walking through a campus, and they got bubbles. People sitting in tables or whatever. I'm like, wow, just the stark difference in the same country, right? But to get back to the to your question, all the time in between, that was more so in 2020, more so when everything kind of hit the fan was in March. I had just come back from international trip, just come back from Peru, and did two great shows out there. Literally the last two shows in Peru, I was part of the main event of the last one. So it was a cool, ending and all that kind of stuff. I literally got back in the country 4 days before they closed the border. 4 days before and I almost missed my flight back. Just I got there too late, but I was able to, get the flight and get home. And then I get back and I'm like, what's this going on? Like, what's happening? And then that Friday, boom, people were stuck there. So that was a huge shock. And then followed by, MLW canceling their events, and each month, like, okay, we're going to have it next month. Okay. But no one knew anything. So it was just kind of just waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm the type of person that needs something to train for, like growing up as an athlete, as a gymnast, we practice hours and hours and hours in the gym. And then we go to compete a few times a year to really show who mastered their craft. And without anything to train for, I did get out of shape. I did lose my touch, and I felt like I had to keep finding some way to counteract that. Finally, we come back in October, and that was really the first time we started like wrestling again. And it was still sketchy. We did testing on the last day, which is kind of weird. It went well. No one, okay. So we started tiptoeing back in. I'm fortunate to be right around the WWA4 wrestling school, AR Fox running things, best trainer in the country. And we're buddies. So I can go up there whenever. And, everything was closed there too for a little bit. But, we started tiptoeing with small groups and stuff. But even then you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
But, what are you going to do? You're going to live in a bubble forever. So, we just try to be real smart about it and, just keep it real small. I go much later when it's like very few people there and, it's a different pace. It's a different pace, but we adjust.
And that was kind of weird for me or whatever. You talk about MLW and whatnot. Lifelong wrestling fan, but only over the past few years have I been branching out into other promotions of wrestling like MLW,
Nice.
freaking, AEW just kind of sprung up, so I don't really count that one. But I'm getting really into New Japan and just whatever I can find on the independents, which is kind of how I come across you. And what really drew me to you was even when I watched your match against you and the Laredo Kid. The thing that I first noticed you on way back when I first reached out to you or whatever, because I only knew you off of this one thing, that I saw, and it was
The
just
tag match. Are you talking about the tag match?
No, the one for the freaking AAA cruiserweight title.
Okay, yeah.
So I seen that way back when I first originally reached out to you, because that was like bam. I ain't never seen no shit like that. And then I go back and I watched the match that you just recently had with the Laredo Kid. I see it again because MLW went dark, like how you said, for a while. So I kind of missed the boat on that. I fell out of it with it, but I would track you on Instagram.
Okay.
The goddamn, I don't know what, even the announcer said it, the commentator, I don't know what to call the shit.
The Leaning Tower of Zen. That's
there
the name.
It is. God. One, you answered one of my questions already when you was just going through your situation and how you start to creep back into training. You speak about being a gymnast. So what was the passion first, being a gymnast or a professional wrestler?
It was, well, I'll let you, yeah.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, right? Because it's just like,
they were both always blended in my life. They've always kind of blended. When I was maybe 5, 6 years old, I used to watch wrestling with my brother, my older brother. We used to, right in the height of the Monday Night Wars. So you had Sting was at his all time, Hulk Hogan, Booker T, those are big names. And I would watch it with him, and things like that. Eventually he moved out of it. He moved on, got a job, and I fell out of wrestling, out of that vision. And then it was, gymnastics. And then right around gymnastics was finishing, I felt a little, burnt out of that. That's when I kind of really fell in love with wrestling. It's always been a intertwining in my whole life, I could say.
And I feel that because I come from a military family. So coming up, I always felt like, I want to join the military and everything. But I loved wrestling and martial arts and
Ooh, love
everything.
martial arts.
And I did a little bit as a child as far as martial arts go, but I never really got into the wrestling because wrestling was in and out of my life, kind of like how you were saying. It's like I found it as a kid, but I only found it because I knew Hulk Hogan, the actor, not the wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So then I found out he was a wrestler and not an actor. Then I found the wrestling. And then, I was a little kid. So I was like, fuck, I want to go outside and play. Forget wrestling for right now. Then years later, I would come back to it. And we get into the Monday Night Wars and all this other stuff. And, that's what really hooked me. Stone Cold and all those other guys come later. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, wrestling is the bomb. I want to do this. Then I get a girl pregnant and I need a job. So
Real life slaps you in the face sometimes, huh?
yeah. Screw all that martial arts stuff I was talking about in this wrestling. I'm gonna join the military. So I joined the military, but through my time in the military, I got to learn some form of martial arts because they have their own martial arts program. And another thing that I wanted to be as a kid was a stunt man.
Ooh.
Allowed me that opportunity to be somewhat of a stunt man, doing rappel tower and all kind of other crazy shit.
Awesome.
And because of the military, I got stationed in the armpit of Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. But because of being stationed there, I was exposed to the most independent wrestling and wrestling I ever been in, in my life. Because Harley Race's school was not too far from there. There was a local promotion there. WWE would always either land in Springfield or St. Louis, which I was dead center in the middle of them. So I can go hour this way, hour this way. And they would always run up and down that area. So I would see independent shows. I would go to WWE shows. I had the itch to goddamn go to the Harley Race school, but that was 2 hours away. And I wasn't going to do that on a weeknight and had to go get up and instruct students at the schoolhouse the next morning. But I found an independent show. I stayed after. I was like, do y'all need any help with anything? Here I am, 30 something years old already. I was like, I don't care what it is. I mean, do you need help with your Facebook? Do you need somebody to help you move the ring around? I'm your guy. Dude told me to come out to an event they was doing. I helped him set up the ring and they trained me for a bit. So I got to actually train, be inside the ring, take the bumps, get my ass whipped. Didn't culminate in the match because it kind of coincided with, the time that I was separating from the military as a whole and my my training and whatnot. So it was just like, really didn't matter. I was kind of upset about it, but I got to do it. It was part of that whole thing. I wanted to be a martial artist. I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to be a stunt man and be in the military. And I kind of got to do it all in one. It was fucking great.
Yeah. What a story.
Huh?
What a story.
No, it's just, I can't see it because I got my coat on, but goosebumps every time I tell it because it's just like, I remember just seeing the ring just like not put together, just out there laid out on the ground. I was like, oh, fuck, that's the ring. Like, I just like, here I am. I'm already an older guy, whatever. I know how it works and everything. I just know how wrestling is. It's not,
well,
somewhat, I know it's scripted to an extent. And I'm just like, I was putting the ring together. They were showing me how to do it. And I never stepped 1 foot in between the ropes because I felt like I didn't pay dues. I wasn't worthy enough to do that. I had that much respect for it. And I was just like, I'm sitting there holding the corner post while they putting the side beams on it. I'm just like, I'm holding the goddamn ring. And
I'll tell you the first time I was in a ring. So when I kind of really fell in love with wrestling, I was in a pizza parlor just waiting for a pizza. I was about 14 years old. I was in my last year of gymnastics where my body wasn't kind of holding up. It was a lot of practice, I wasn't sure if that's what I really wanted to do, but as an athlete, I loved all the things it made me, but I'm waiting for my pizza and they have Friday Night SmackDown on the TV. And I see Eminem come out, and of course I'm like, ooh, Melina, like, oh wow, like, should I be? Am I allowed to watch this? Yeah. And Eminem just being super hypersexual with the belts. Of course, I'm just glued to the TV. And then Batista comes out, this giant muscle guy, and I'm like, all right. And then this little guy with a mask comes popping out of the floor. Who's that jump? And I was like, who's this guy? And he's sitting there doing backflips on everybody's heads and spinning people around with his legs. And I'm like, holy crap, this guy is the bomb. I can do that. Like, I bet I could do that. Like, as a gymnast, like, yeah, he's flying around. That's my people. So I became a closet wrestling fan. I didn't know any other wrestling fans. So, I went to this little church group and they weren't wrestling fans. Who am I going to talk to? People at school weren't wrestling fans. So I would just watch it when I could on UPN, catching the Friday Night SmackDown, wondering what's on Raw because we didn't have cable for years, checking it out. And eventually I was like, all right, I was 16 or so. I had been, I got Triple H's book, Making the Game, and he kind of inspired me to start lifting weights and exploring that realm. And I was like, all right, I got to try this thing. So I go online. I'm like, all right, wrestling school. Where do I start? WWA 4. That's weird. WWA 4. Wrestling school right here in Atlanta. Oh my God. 25 minutes from the house. I take my shitty car up there. And actually, before I even had a shitty car, 17, my mom took me up there just to check out a show. Every Thursday, they have a free show, and it's for the students to practice in front of a live crowd. That is such an underrated aspect of a good wrestling school. You could get so much experience that you can't get, it's a free show. And we go to the free show, and good old Total Protection, Mr. Hughes is there, and he's the big shot. He stole the Undertaker's urn. He's the big shot guy there. And you walk in, and there's old man Frank right by the door. And old man Frank was the owner, and he was about 85,000 years old, and he loved dogs. He always talk about, hey, how my mom had a service dog too, so they were drawn together as far as conversation. So my mom's over there talking with Frank. I'm looking at how big this Mr. Hughes guy is, and the show's about to start. Okay. So we sit down, and there's 15 other people there, maybe a little less, maybe 12 that night. And the first match of the night was it was Ash and Jimmy, two guys from the UK versus the Hooligans. You know who the Hooligans are?
Sound familiar.
In the Midwest. They wrestle a lot out there, Chicago, Missouri. Anyway, but they started at the WA4 as well. And it was funny. I found out later in my career, I'm like, oh, wait, you guys are the same. You guys are the first live match I've ever watched. And now we're alumni together. It's kind of funny. Anyway, but the match was not great because they were still learning. And the whole show was just very, it was 3 matches. And I was watching, and I was like, I appreciate the effort of the guys, but I was sitting there the whole time going, I could do it better than them. I could do it better than this. Why wouldn't the guy I was into it. So from that point on, I had to try it. And that's all she wrote. I got stories for days, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. It's just, I even do that now after the fact that I had the little bit of training or whatnot. I don't claim to know everything, but it's just it makes you look at it different now. Cause I can't even remember how I used to enjoy wrestling before I actually had that training. Cause now I'm just like, ooh, that was kind of sloppy. I was like, ooh, is he really hurt? Or, it's just, I'm just looking at it with a skewed vision almost. And,
Well, training is different though. Training is different from a real match. In training, of course, we're going to be a little more cooperative with each other because, it's just like if we were an MMA gym, for example, and we're sparring and we put together drills where today, we're adversaries, but in real life, so you got to get a little taste. You got to get a little taste of how to train for a match, but it's different when you're actually out there in front of the bright lights. It's completely different. You can do 100 training matches, and it's a different experience getting out there. So yeah, you got a little taste, but hey, there's more to it than that.
Because
you can't spill all the secrets. You don't know them yet. You don't know all of them yet.
Because that's hell shit I know I don't know. Because matter of fact, I was just watching New Japan earlier today. I was watching freaking Hiromu and Show and I was just like, how? Because I mean, How? You know, and it's just like
Those guys are
you have those
amazing.
occasional matches to where you might hear one guy call a spot or something like that, but you look at these two guys specifically in this match, I was like, they ain't calling shit. They just beating the shit out of each
That's wrestling done right.
other. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's supposed to be. And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you, wrestling has become so full of shit in a lot of ways. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. So full of shit in a lot of ways. It's like, guys and gals, head kicks.
Yeah. Talk to him.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. This is what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean,
I'm just going to say, it looks very suspect that I just watched Conor McGregor get knocked out from a straight right hand from Dustin Poirier. But yo ass just took a spinning side kick, an enziguri, a top rope super kick, a destroyer, and a spinning 540 kick, and you're still on your feet. In fact, now you're somehow on the top rope going for your finisher.
Yeah.
So what that tells me watching, maybe the other guy's really shitty at kicks because those, he didn't really kick you very hard, or you have the hardest head in the human history. And either conclusion, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just watching from a fan's point of view, and I'm just saying it looks goofy.
Tonguing though.
Just saying it looks goofy, and I don't know what that is. That's not pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying? This is an art form, and there's a way to do it.
Yeah, but there might be
a way to do it, and
they got hard heads.
They got hard heads. Oh my God, they're hard headed. That you know what? That's why it doesn't hurt them, because they're hard headed.
I see what you did there.
Literally, they're hard headed, and they're hard headed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've noticed the change from when I watched wrestling as a young child all the way up until now. It's just a lot of oversaturation of moves, and a lot of the moves that we would see as kids, like Jake the Snake famously, DDT. That was the end of the match. You ask him, hey, Jake, what did DDT stand for? What did DDT stand for? The end. That's what he said. It's over after this or whatever. Now we got tornado DDT. We got freaking somersault DDT. We got, and they'll pop right up.
Yo, speaking on the DDT, I just watched the match. Well, I just watched a clip of the match. I saw the most beautiful. I'm not going to say who it is because I love both competitors dearly. But I saw the most beautiful second rope DDT with leverage, executed beautifully, looked nasty. And the person taking the DDT was the one initiating a move 30 seconds later, not 30 seconds later. I'm like, what is happening? And these are people you would expect, like, oh my goodness. So it's just like, it takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm as guilty as the next guy for most of my career. I'm going to say it. You watch some early Shinron matches, there's plenty to shit on my career. I'm going to say it, but what I'm learning more in my recent years is really until you've really been doing it and really study this and really that you become to realize there's a way to do it. So there's a balance. I'm all about pushing the envelope and trying to find new ways to fight. I don't feel like any one style is, should be put in a box. However, things have to make sense.
Yeah.
Bottom line, things have to make sense. I
understand that because a lot of what you're talking about is kind of what I see in a lot of younger wrestlers or whatever, the ones that hadn't been wrestling too long. And some, I mean, it's to use a term that I've heard thrown around the internet, spot monkeys,
Ooh, those spotted monkeys, everywhere. I hate when those spotted monkeys get in the ring. I don't know what spot monkey means. Spotted monkey, get them out of here.
But with you, I did go back and I watched some of your older matches and everything, and compared to what I've seen most recently, like the one with the Laredo Kid,
I'm really proud of that contest, by the way.
Yeah, because from what I saw in that match, it's like it wasn't so much high fly from you. I also saw some strength in there. It's like I seen you toss the guy around, and I was pretty impressed by that. I was like, oh shit, I said, look at this guy. Look at this guy trying to be a muscle guy here.
Yeah,
You know?
the Dougie Boy. I know what movie you're talking about.
Mhm.
The
And then what else? A lot of things you was actually throwing your body at the guy, you know, for most of the match too. And it was just like you were showing like you were trying to hurt this dude. Like
I'm trying to win the match.
I'm trying to win the match. Yeah, exactly.
Try to win the damn match, kid. You know what I mean? Stop trying to, you know, do your flips and try to win the damn match is the point of it.
Mhm.
If your flips are going to help you win the damn match, okay, if that's your technique, but you better have practiced it. You better be on point. You better be not tripping over yourself. If you're going to do this is what Low Key told me one day. This is when it clicked. It was after Dominic Guarini. I fought Dominic Guarini, and I was so hell-bent on making this beautiful styles clash between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Lucha Libre, and I was excited for that, but I was focusing on it in the wrong way. I was thinking of how can I make the coolest counters from his things, and that led me to me getting injured off the top rope, and him, you know, it was some controversy, but that's how it ended. It didn't go well for me. Low Key told me at the end of the back, he was like, hey, and Low Key's been someone who's seen me from those early days. We've always shared locker rooms together. Pro Wrestling Syndicate, Beyond Wrestling. There's been times. But he said, hey, your technique is your technique, but you got to make sure you come with it. You know, if you're going to make sure you hit the guy, you got to hit the guy. Like, he really like looked me in the eyes and was like, you know, whatever you bring to the table, you got to make sure it's refined and mastered. And that's really what I've been honing in on and focusing, especially over the past few years. And I'm glad you noticed a difference.
Yeah. You speaking of Low Key or whatever, I forget what match that was, but I remember him fighting this one guy, and he, you know how he usually backflip out of the German or whatever. I think dude held it too long and dropped him on his head, and Low Key got up and kicked the shit out of this dude in the face. Dude, he even said it in the interview later or whatever. He's like, you know, I just laid there and took it because I knew I was wrong.
That's called a receipt.
Yeah,
oh, man.
boy. Low Key was another one, man. I wonder where his career would have been if he would have stayed in WWE, but I kind of understand why he left because it's similar to one of my favorite wrestlers, MVP, who is currently back. He left because he had other aspirations and goals in professional wrestling. He wanted to go to New Japan, and he did do that. Matter of fact, he became the first inaugural, Intercontinental IWGP champion or whatever. So that was cool that he can go and do that. And I kind of feel Low Key, you know, similar, but
hey, don't cry for Low Key though. You know, Low Key is a former MLW World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know,
and he stabbed somebody. I seen it.
If he would have stayed in WWE, what I know is he'd be a whole lot less happier than he is now.
Yeah, and that's
Low Key is the locker room leader of Major League Wrestling, no matter who's the champ. You know, when Low Key speaks, everybody listens, is what I'm saying. He commands respect when it comes down to his peers. And I feel like no matter what appears on TV, even, you know, how you rank up and, you know, amongst your peers as far as respect is really all you got when it comes down to it. If you don't got respect, people don't respect you. If you don't respect others, people are not going to want to work with you, you know, and then that's it. You're done. You know, you need each other for this kind of business. And Low Key is someone that, you know, always has, you know, I've been intimidated by when I was younger. You know, I would find myself in shows with like, oh gosh, the Iron Sheik is over there and Booker T, and, you know, Harlem Heat is here, blah, blah, blah. But Low Key's on the card and he's always kind of like, you know, looking around, and I'm always like, he just had this demeanor. But as I grow to know him a little bit more, he's just one intense guy. He's just intense with everything he does.
Yeah, you talking
and
about
MLW is a great environment for him to really showcase that intensity.
Yeah, you talk about how he demands, you know, the attention and the respect in the locker room or whatever. I said, man, it's kind of hard not to demand anything with a voice like that. Hey, what the yeah, sir.
He's the man.
Oh man, but I mean, what initially got you hooked? Rey Mysterio and everything.
It was Mysterio. I was a Mysterio mark, and it was WWE was all I knew. You know, I didn't know anything about independent wrestling, but you know, this is the first live match I've seen was, you know, Ash and Jimmy and the Hooligans. And, you know, okay. So it was it was that, 16, I started, trying to save the money. 17, got a job at Arby's, trying to save the money, did the 3-day camp, loved it. It was hard, and wanted to come back. I remember my first day, AR Fox was 3 years my senior, like 3.5 years. He was already there. Who else was there? Jonathan Gresham was there at the time.
I like that dude. I just found out about him.
Apollo Crews had just started about 3 months before I came in. And he was like, hey, who's your favorite wrestler? This is Fox. And I'm like, Rey Mysterio. He's like, who else? I said, Matt Hardy. He says, who else? And I said, like, Gail Kim. Or I said, only like, I didn't even say Gail Kim. I didn't know about TNA at the time. I love Gail Kim. But I'm saying all these WWE guys. And he's just like, ugh. And he just like turns and walks away. And I'm like, that's my first meeting of AR Fox. And then later he would put me through the paces or whatever. They like to take the people that only know about WWE and show them, though, this is reality. Like, you've been sitting here watching at home. This is what it is. And most of the people that walk through that door don't come back. You know what I mean? We weed them out. And I was able to outlast a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people come and go, but hey, 11 years later, it's crazy. I'm still here.
Yeah. I just think that's crazy because, I say it now because I'm kind of breaking away from it. It was like we were brainwashed or whatever to think that this was the only wrestling in town,
Yes.
Because I didn't go to my first independent show until like 2014. And that was just I was walking at a grocery store or whatever, and it was like live professional wrestling. I was like, oh shit, what's this? And then I went, and then that's where I met the people, and I was like, hey, let me help you with the ring and shit. And that's what kind of did it for me. Then Jeff Jarrett brokered the deal with New Japan and started putting that on USA TV and shit. And I was like, oh, Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just been a tailspin from there, just finding new shit and finding.
And then you realize, like, all this time, I've been missing all this good stuff. There's so much to watch, right?
Exactly. I keep harping on New Japan because that's kind of like the starting point for me as far as something different. And most recently, because I love how they, if you're familiar with New Japan World, they categorize everything. And I like that shit. So I went to the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, and I went back all the way to the first match when MVP initially won it in 2011. And I watched every title change all the way up until current. Because it was all categorized and it was all laid out. And I was like,
yeah,
I just watched everything. And I was like, this is fucking great.
That's awesome. I need to do that. That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah,
sounds good. I don't watch as much wrestling nowadays. I need to keep a pulse on it.
Well, and it's also, since it's your livelihood for the most part, it's kind of good to take a break every now and then.
Yeah, I can't watch I find that I get way less creative when I watch a lot of wrestling. Now, there was a time where I, watched a lot of wrestling, and it's good to just learn the language. Basically, it's its own language.
Yeah.
And if you're training in it, like, you need to study. But at this point, when I have the training, and now it's like, what do I want to bring to the table that's unique that only I can do? At this point, when I watch too much of my peers, I start thinking like them. And then when you start thinking like them, you start performing like them, and then you're all in a box again. So I find that, I jump back in when I hear something good, or I might a card or a match I'm interested in, or I want to support maybe a friend or something. And then I retreat back into my own world, and that's when the magic happens. And then I come back and try it out on a victim.
All right. So a couple things I want to touch on, because when I get to speak with a couple of professional wrestlers or whatever, I like to ask this question. And I want to see if because I can kind of see through the mask, whatever. You look like you one of me. So this is a question I want to ask you.
Down south.
Yeah. So this is a question I want to ask you and see if you notice the trend. Why there's other people that do it too, but why do just about every Black professional wrestler, male and female, do some variation of the flatliner? See, you're thinking about it now. Your wheels is turning. I know you know what I'm talking about.
You're not lying. the flatliner or the STO is next.
Yeah, reverse. Yeah,
It's usually
STO,
the flatliner. I don't
reverse
know. It's one of
STO,
those phenomenons.
flatliner, pay dirt, whatever the hell you want to call it. I mean, all of us do it.
Except for me. Except for me. I don't do a
Yeah, I
flatliner
haven't seen
or
it. I
pay
haven't
dirt.
seen it because I would have called you on it.
Yeah, because I don't follow trends. You know, I am my own trendsetter. But that's very interesting. That's very interesting. I don't
I
even
have
think they
dubbed,
realize it.
yeah, I have dubbed that our move. You know, I know what, from what I understand of the move, I know it came from Ghetto and them in New Japan, and then Canyon brought it over in WCW when he was Mortis and shit. So that's where I first saw it originally, was with Canyon.
That's
But
history. I always thought the black people move was the cutter, because that's why I stopped doing cutters. I did the most beautiful hands Tajiri handspring jump back cutter. It was the easiest move too, because I could do the handspring all day, and just jumping back, I had so much time to look at my opponent, target him, grab him, boom. But I realized, as beautiful and as the crowd pleasing as that was, everybody started doing the freaking cutter.
yeah, I mean,
you know, in the super kick, that's another one.
Yeah.
I don't do any super kicks anymore. Never. Like, you know, so there's certain things I refuse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing about it too, because that was going to bring it around to where, like, saturation removes, like I was saying, Jake the Snake and the DDT and all that. But definitely, I mean, you'll see it more than me, but that's the black people move, the flatliner. Super kicks. It goes back to what you said before. You know, motherfucker got knocked out in UFC with head kicks or whatever, and you take 12 of them and pop right back up and do your own super kick. And then
yeah, you can only break the rules when you have the ability to break the rules, like the Young Bucks. Super big respect to them. I actually wrestled them in the ring. Stand-up guys, you know, awesome. When you have the ability to break the rules, then you can break the rules, like the Young Bucks did. But the problem is, just like Eminem broke the rules, right? Everybody now wants to be Eminem. Everyone now wants to be the people that broke the rules. There can only be one. So after Shawn Michaels and after the Young Bucks broke the rules a bit, and boom, 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 that's it. Everybody else is trying to copycat. And it's, to be honest, you're only making the Young Bucks look cooler and yourself look goofier. To be honest, when you do it wrong.
Because I mean,
there's a place for the super kick. There's a place for the flatliner. There's a place for DDTs and RKOs and flipping destroyers and all that kind of stuff. There's a place for it. But a lot of people don't know the place. That's what's frustrating.
And then we get into a point to where, like, all right, our generation of wrestling fans are just kind of fading out. And all the people that are coming up behind us are all they're gonna know is like Young Bucks and all these other guys doing these same moves over and over, and they're gonna think that's commonplace. And that kind of scares me a little bit, because, you know, we talk about everybody doing the cutter, but I don't think that became so much popular until Randy Orton started talking shit about people.
It was Randy Orton that definitely brought it in. Yeah.
And those memes where they was doing with Randy Orton doing all the diamond cutters. I mean, I call it diamond cutters on everybody and shit. So I mean, then I just seen everybody do it. Freaking.
That's precisely when I stopped.
Yeah.
That's precisely when I stopped. Yep. It was all the meme. I love the meme. The meme is awesome, but yeah, I had to separate myself from the crowd.
So yeah, it's just crazy. Because I even made I think I made a 4-minute video about that flatliner thing too. I had to see if I could find that, but it was just like ACH, Big Swole, Cedric Alexander, freaking Shelton Benjamin, R-Truth, Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, and a couple others, Brandy Rhodes. It's just, that's right off the top of my head.
You got a whole list.
But it's just crazy. But when you say you step away from wrestling, you know, just kind of center yourself, focus your mind and everything, and prepare for the next thing. What do you do in your spare time, dude? I mean, cause you got the proponents of it now, but like, what is you watching? What is you watching on TV? Because I know I'm watching Wanda. You watching any Marvel shit?
Well, I'm always training. You know what I mean? I'm always
training your mind, training your body. I'm just always going.
You know what I've been watching lately is the House of Paper. I think it's called Money Heist on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I am so into it. I'm in the 3rd season. The 3rd part now. It's so good. I've also been getting into Black Mirror. I'm on the
you catching up
3rd
on
episode of that.
I'm behind.
Yeah, it's really trippy. I like the concepts. I can only handle a little at a time, but it's cool. Other than that, really, I don't watch a whole lot of TV or anything like that. I listen to a lot of YouTube videos and boring stuff.
So what's the rabbit hole then? I mean, what trips we taking down in YouTube?
YouTube. Well, I listen to Abraham Hicks a lot. She talks about the law of attraction. I listen to Jordan Peterson a lot. Anything really. I'm kind of brainy. I like
Just life
biography.
enriching. I hear you.
I like documentaries a lot, but I'll listen to them mostly because I like, I'm busy, I'm doing things, but I'll listen. Joe Rogan. I listen to a lot. A lot of MMA analyst type stuff. I listen to Chael Sonnen. I just became like a fan of him. I didn't even like him when he was fighting, and then I just watched a video or two, and he's really charismatic, and I just find myself clicking on all his videos. So things like that.
Speaking of Joe Rogan and you being a professional wrestler, what do you think about the interview with the Undertaker?
Interview with the Undertaker. I listened to most of it so far. I have to finish a little part of it, but it was great. I loved how long it was too, and really detailed he got. It was a little strange because my whole career, I'm like, okay, if the Undertaker can keep it under wraps, then like we have no excuse. But then finally, Undertaker's like, well, I'm done, and it's like you gotta respect the guy. He's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't have him as an example anymore.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I've been waiting for, because as long as I've been a professional wrestling fan, he has been a part of that experience, and I kind of felt like years ago, like way before his now retirement, I kind of felt like that's what he would be doing more of, just like meet and greets and starting to come on shows more. That's truly a sign of, this is the end and everything. But I got to tell you, man, over the last couple of years, I have had a stain on my soul toward the Undertaker, man. He just pissed me off so goddamn much. So fucking much. And I talked to this at length on I have a wrestling podcast every now and then that we do. And I talked to that point at length. I didn't watch the Boneyard match. I didn't watch the Saudi shit. I haven't watched.
You didn't watch the Boneyard match though?
Fuck no.
Why? Hold on, stop. I'm with you. I'm listening to your points, but you gotta make sure you just highlight why you specifically you were out, not interested on the Boneyard.
I have not watched an Undertaker match since he put his hat and gloves down in the ring against Roman Reigns.
And that was in what year? What year was that?
That was in WrestleMania in Orlando. I don't remember the year, but yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't watched the Undertaker match since then, because motherfucker shouldn't be having any matches. He should have been done in 27 when he had the end of an era match. Fucking,
who are you to say he should be having any matches?
I know exactly what you're saying, but this is my caveat to every time that I say this. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna say this at the end so you understand where I'm coming from. To me, he should have been done when he faced Triple H in that Hell in a Cell match at the WrestleMania. There was all arm in arm, and they left. That to me, that should have been the last match. But he continued on. Streak ended at 30. Should have been done right there. But he went on to fight Bray Wyatt at 31 the year next. Then he did the shit with Roman Reigns, where he essentially retired on screen, put his hat and shit in the rings. I mean, even I know what that looks like, in professional. When you put your boots and your hat and your gear.
Yep. The whole deal. All over the internet. Thank you, Taker.
Yeah, exactly. All that shit right there. All that pomp and circumstance. Me, been with my wife 13 years. Never shed a tear at the birth of my child or, just dire situations and all this other bullshit that we've been through in our marriage. And this dude put his shit down in the ring, put his gear in, threw his fist up and sunk down into the stage. I rolled the motherfucking tear in front of my wife because I thought it was done. I thought it was over. This dude that been with me through all my wrestling fandom in my childhood is hanging it up. And it resonated with me because I just retired from the military for doing that shit for 16 years consecutively without a break.
I got you.
To leave it, I understood how that felt in that moment, to leave it all behind. So I was extra emotional. I was in the feelings. This is my feelings, and I was inside. So, this motherfucker came back after that.
What was his return match? Was it Saudi?
No, it was shit before Saudi. I forget.
No. Are you sure? I think his first match back was Saudi with Kane.
You're probably right, but I think there was something before that.
So?
My mind is blocking all this shit out because I haven't been watching it, So after that point in time, I was like, fuck this dude. Fuck this dude for doing this to me. Fuck him for making me feel that way and do that shit that he did to me. Nah, I'm not standing for it. Then he had the shit with Goldberg to where, his body was failing him. And Goldberg didn't help the situation either by running his goddamn head into the ring post. So that soured me on that. And then I didn't even watch that in whole because of the bullshit. It was just bullshit to me. Then they had the other bullshit with the other Saudi show or whatever with the tag team match and the Kane, and I didn't watch none of that shit. Then he kept hobbling out there and talking about this boneyard match and all this other bullshit. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. I ain't watching none of this shit. You're dead to me. Your dead man is dead. But I say all that to say this. I say that, from an emotional standpoint, as a fan watching a product on TV. Now, to Mark Calloway, the man behind The Undertaker, I will never, ever, ever, ever fault a man for providing for himself and his family. But I don't have to fucking like it, and it is just an opinion because
you had a great point at the end. I was waiting for, like, what's he going to say? Because I got some points to disagree with. And then you came at the end with it.
Yeah.
All right. I respect that. I got to say this. Mm-hmm. That's professional wrestling done right. You said you shed a tear. Mm-hmm. They got you. That's exactly what they wanted to do. That was exactly how it was supposed to be. And it was left vague. He didn't say I'm retiring, right? Mm-hmm. He left it vague. Boom. It's open for interpretation. It's leaving the door open. Because honestly, when you're at that point of your career, you don't want to hang it up. You don't know if that's actually
you don't know.
So just in case, I'm gonna give it my all. And then guess what? I reserve the right to change my mind because retirement is never. You remember Ric Flair retiring?
Exactly. That's another beautiful send off, man. And it was even stamped. This is the retirement. This is the end of Ric Flair's career in the ring. Right. Whatever.
I can, if you're gonna have the retirement fight, I can give a man this. I can give you the retirement fight, so that sets up the comeback fight. Okay, cool. You do the retirement fight. You do the comeback fight. And then you do the real retirement fight. That's as far as it should go. But it's getting to the point. People are retiring, unretiring, kind of retiring. But I'm saying all this to say this. I love The Undertaker. And that Saudi money is real, too.
Exactly.
Saudi Arabia money. It was huge. Mm-hmm. The money that they were throwing around.
Shawn Michaels came back.
So, of course, you can't fault Shawn Michaels. Boom. So, okay, maybe I would have done the same thing after I thought I was for sure retired and I still was, wanted to keep wrestling and this was a good opportunity. Hey, go get your money.
Yeah.
I will say this.
Yeah.
The Boneyard match. Now, remember, they were starting to hype the Boneyard match before the pandemic, right? I wasn't watching WWE, but before the pandemic, the Boneyard match was supposed to be something different than what we got. Mm-hmm. Then the pandemic started happening. Boom. Is WrestleMania still going on or was canceled? Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. No, we're still going on with the Boneyard match. I got to say, that was a masterpiece. I loved it. If you have not watched it, you need to go back and watch it. It was beautiful. And I was also salty sitting there watching this. You know why? Beyond wrestling, a little earlier in my career, maybe a couple years back, I was trying to come up with a cinematic match. I had full blessings from the promoter, from Drew. I love Drew. He always let me do my creative things when I come at him with ideas. Beyond Wrestling's awesome. Drew Cordero. Mm-hmm. I broke my neck for that company and they canceled their next show and tried to raise money for my medical bill. So we're like blood brothers, I guess. I was planning this cinematic match in this place that we were wrestling there at the time called Fet Music, the coolest venue you've just ever been in. It looks like this medieval castle inside, and it's just really dope. And for, independent wrestling, not a lot of money, not a lot of resources. We just couldn't get it to happen. We needed stunt double. We just couldn't get it when we needed to get it. The time passed. I put it in my back pocket. A few years later, the final deletion comes out with Matt Hardy. And I'm like, whoa, this is kind of like my idea. And then boom, The Undertaker has the, at WrestleMania. So it was really cool to see, even though I didn't get there first, I feel like I was one of the innovators, but I just didn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah.
I felt it was so cool that it was a new way to tell a story in wrestling. It was just a new presentation. And I felt like that it has a place, especially with wrestling changing so much. I felt like they nailed it and it has a place.
Well, you know what? The thing that scratched my itch in that vein was Lucha Underground. And
oh, man.
I love that shit because, it wasn't like, a regular wrestling program to where I just drop in and be like, well, shit. What's going on? Who's the champ here or whatever? It was like a legit story to where you can watch it. It's timeless. Pretty much.
Yeah, I love it.
It's like it's a TV show that just so happens to have professional wrestling in it.
It is a TV show. Like the matches are even like
people die
in its own universe. and you can kind of understand, like, okay, it's Lucha. Lucha, there's not a whole lot of rules in Lucha. It's just like, it's free fighting. There is no rules. It's just you go out there and fight. So with that being, the arena, like you can accept, what they're presenting you in the match, some of the most cutting edge, cool things you don't normally see on a wrestling show with this cool narrative and this background and story. I loved Lucha Underground. I was trying to get into Lucha Underground for a little while there. And when I actually kind of had the opportunity, I'm glad it didn't work out because we all know what happened. People
after,
stuck in their contracts at the end.
But digitally to remove a referee from a TNA match or something like that.
Well, just weird stuff. But they had a short little run, and it was a great run.
Yeah, shit. I got to speak to Brian Cage and Marty the Moth. While they was doing that stuff, man. And it was everybody that I got to talk to that dealt with that said it was a good time. Just the overall, creation and the process of the thing and whatnot. I'm pretty sure they were kind of salty on some of the contract stuff, but as far as working and doing the product, I heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, good stories. It's the same.
Man, but shit, I can't remember just sitting there waiting to see, oh man, what's the next episode gonna be like? Goddamn, then they had the whole, underlying story with the Pentagon and freaking Vampiro.
Mm-hmm. It's always had a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I liked it. I think there's a void now in the pro wrestling space for whatever Lucha Underground started to introduce us to. Mm-hmm. There's a void now there. The next company to kind of bring in that kind of presentation, I feel like is going to do very well. And I'm in the midst of creating my own thing. I have a company now called luchaware.art. And, basically I take some of the best designers. Actually, all my designers are from different countries, different continents even. And we pair them up with some of the best wrestlers up and coming or, popular wrestlers that and we make cool designs for them. And it's like a one-stop shop merch store is our goal. And that's just one little aspect. That's luchaware. But what do you do with all the wrestlers? Okay, well, what do you call them? Well, we're the League of Luchadors, the LOL. The LOL for short. We're the League of Luchadors.
I see what you did there.
Like, I'm building this foundation for a future wrestling company with all this alliance of these wrestlers here. And then you a gamer? You like Zelda?
Yeah.
So the Triforce. Luchaware is one part of the Triforce. The League of Luchadors is another part of the Triforce. And then the last one is called We Can Lucha. And what does that mean? It means, Lucha means fight. We can fight. Basically, it means we can fight too. And let me tell you a little story, Rob.
Oh shit, I'm ready.
So if you live at somewhere like in the United States or Japan or Europe, there's a lot of wrestling around. If you're a
Mm.
wrestling fan, you could find a show. You might have to drive a little bit, you can find a show. If you want to train, you could probably find a good school. You know, opportunities everywhere. But if you live in a place like Timbuktu, like Zimbabwe, like Bolivia, and I'm not exaggerating,
I know.
good luck. If you are a wrestling fan, you want to see live wrestling. You may never see a live wrestling show unless you leave your country. If you want to train, okay, you can go to the one guy with a wrestling ring that's really shitty in town that says he's a legend from back in the day that can't move anymore, or you have to travel across the world. Opportunity is not knocking at your door. WWE doesn't even tour. The last show they scheduled in Paraguay, they had to cancel just because, logistics. So all those people finally were going to see. No, the point is the lucha economy, I like to call it, is not equal everywhere, right? Luchaware, Weekend Lucha, the League of Luchadores, we're trying to be that bridge that can better connect the lucha economy. So what kind of things are you talking about, Zenshi? Well, I'm talking about taking some standout students. I already know Prince Diego comes to mind in Peru. Really, really good kid. Only been wrestling 2 years in a place like Peru, which is not a lot of experience. But the way he's been studying, he is sharp. Bringing a guy like Prince Diego to America, bringing him to the WWA 4 school to get trained with the best, AR Fox, spending the whole week here training, having a live show on Thursday, going to some shows on the weekend, giving him that experience, bringing him back, and also bringing some American people to let's do some networking here. That's how we build each other up,
Yeah.
And eventually, when Luchaware makes enough money, the League of Luchadores can come down and we can put on a big show with their local talent, bringing our talent, and boom, we raise everybody up. That's the vision. I'm trying to build something.
Yeah, you trying to
I'm
plant
starting with
seeds.
South America because I'm the South American,
I said, you trying to plant them seeds. I see you trying to grow a foundation.
That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Too many wrestlers are just thinking I'm just going to be a wrestler and I have to sign that paper, that magical paper with the contract to make a living. And for a long time, it's only been one game in town. You sell your soul, and maybe it'll turn out. Maybe they'll let you speak up or whatever, but you'll be set for life. Or be the starving artist and maybe never make it. You know what I mean? Now we got a little more options.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and it's a much healthier ecosystem overall. I'm not complaining. There's opportunity out there, but overall, you gotta build something for yourself, young wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? You gotta build something for yourself, and you gotta give back, and that's what this machine is.
So, as a wrestler and as a fan of professional wrestling, with what it seems to be playing out on television with AEW, AAA, and New Japan and Impact, how does that make you feel as a fan and a professional wrestler?
How it's playing out on TV is what you're saying.
Yeah, just
like
general,
I said, I don't really watch a lot of what's going on. I don't really have much of a, especially with post-pandemic.
You don't hear the rumblings, homie?
What's that?
I said, you don't hear the rumblings, homie? I mean, I know
every now and
got
then,
a homeboy that slide in, be like, hey, dog.
Honestly, I talked to one guy in AEW, a good friend of mine, and we talk back and forth private messenger a lot about little things, but really that's about it. I don't really watch anything. I watch some AEW Dark only, like mostly when my friends are on it. You know what I mean? When my friends are wrestling, or I've stopped watching WWE for a while. I catch their pay-per-views for a while. I only watch the pay-per-views. I watched what was the Royal Rumble, most of it. New Japan, I catch matches on YouTube randomly. I'm busy. I'm doing other things. I'm building a business. And my perspective is a little different as a wrestling fan after, X amount of years. I'm more in it as a creator versus a consumer. And it's just a different balance.
Yeah. I know for me, speaking from the fan perspective or whatever, I mean, I think it's great that all these companies are working together or whatever. But I always just in my mind, from a business standpoint or whatever, is like, how do you do this? It's just like, all right, so you got, all right, matter of fact, MLW just did it. They got dealing with AAA, right? So Leo Rush or Lionel Green, whatever the fuck he called himself now. He has your middleweight championship and he has the AAA cruiserweight
Oh, he
championship.
won?
Yeah, which you could have had, or which you could have
Wait, he
had.
won it?
Yeah,
Leo Rush won?
yeah, yeah. You really don't watch.
I didn't catch that episode yet. I'm like, I know I'm
Spoilers.
on the episode, but I was at the arena. When you're wrestling, you don't watch. Sometimes you can't have time to watch the other matches. But
Yeah,
I
I
wrestled
understand.
Tankman again in a rematch. Didn't quite go my way again. But you know, I didn't catch the result. Wow, Leo Rush, AAA World Cruiserweight Champion and MLW Middleweight Champion. Man, that boy dripping in gold, ain't he?
Yeah, he
You
is. And
know,
you know
it's
he
funny.
talking.
I remember when Leo Rush was just a little kid, and you know, nervous before the match we were about to have, and I'm sitting here saying, "Hey, relax, listen to me out there. You got this, kid." You know, and now look at him. You know, hey, kudos to him. But I'm telling you, it's going to be short lived because once I shake this losing streak off and I get back on my mojo and I find my Zen Leo Rush, I'm coming for you.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Because I mean, that was a championship that could have been potentially yours, and you could have been the freaking AAA and middleweight champion.
And
It's
Peruvian international champion. That would have been triple champ.
Yeah, I mean, then you would be the dripped and go, which there's still time, there's still opportunity for this. So I mean,
yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking for the opportunity. You know, it's about 2 years with MLW now, and I've been passed up on the Opera Cup twice now, both years. And you know, they threw me a bone with this AAA world title. I really had to fight for that too. There was a couple people in contention. I even had to. I even put up my Peruvian championship on the line. You know, as a bargaining chip, and flew down to Mexico to make the deal. And it turned out, you know, we were all for it, but it turned out with the red tape, they were like, all right, cruiserweight title match. And then I didn't do my job. I lost. I can't be mad. I got the opportunity. But outside of that, it's, you know, it's opportunity has been kind of slim at MLW for Zenshi. I'll just say that. And it's about time something changes. It's about time something changes.
oh, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to the change, sir. You're gonna bring in
Yeah,
the win to change.
let's do it. It can start with a win. So I got to get back on it.
Yeah. I want to kind of backtrack before we put a pin in it or whatever, because one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, yeah, I know you brought up Rey Mysterio, but is that the motivation for wearing the mask?
That was the initial. Yeah, that was the initial thing. I'm really big about like making things come full circle. Like, I don't know, like I like that's a theme in my life. So I was like, oh yeah, you know, at first when I started wrestling, honestly, I didn't wear a mask because I didn't want to be cliche. In my mind, I don't want to be the Black Rey Mysterio, right? So I actually started with face paint because I was like, I don't want to be like every other flippy black guy, but I don't want to be like
Yeah,
the
that's
Black
why I
Rey
don't do no
Mysterio.
flatliners.
So I'm gonna do in between. Nobody else does face paint at the time. I love Sting. Sting was my first favorite wrestler back when I watched with my brother. And then Rey Mysterio became my all-time favorite. So I started with the face paint. But then after a while, you know, I don't know if you're aware, but I had a devastating injury that almost killed me. And I had an opportunity to return to wrestling with Chikara Pro Wrestling. But they said, you got to be something else. You got to bring us something with a little more flavor for our audience. So that's when I came up with the next iteration of myself. There's a whole nother story. I don't want to go off on another
Yeah,
tangent.
that's like a Shinron, I believe, right?
Shinron, you know, that's
Yeah.
Screw it. Charade was my was how I started as you know as a wrestler, and I broke my neck two and a half years in doing a double moonsault. Opened up a little too early. Boom! It was on Tosh.0, World's Dumbest. It was on everywhere. Everybody saw the thing. There's comments on YouTube for days. A lot of people are saying he's actually really sick. He's actually really awesome. He just kind of messed up, which was the truth. And a lot of people are saying, look at this dumbass, right? He's the Phoenix, though. I survived. I came back, and I'm still wrestling. He's like the Phoenix that came back from the dead, really. Charade's not dead. He's on YouTube because I comment on my Charade account, just ironically. So Charade lives on YouTube. But I needed something more. That gave birth to the dragon, the all-powerful dragon. I wanted to show these guys what I could do, what I was really capable of. There's a lot of paths I could have taken. I could have quit wrestling. I could have come back but be conservative. I could have come back, but like, there's so many things. But what I decided to do, I was going to show these guys I could be the best high flyer you've ever seen. That gave rise to Shinran, the dragon. And I really showed them over a period of years. I was in the conversation. I wasn't known throughout the whole universe, but the people that knew me was like, this guy is legit, athletically, one of the best high flyers. But eventually, that wasn't enough. I was in the ring with the Young Bucks. I'd wrestled my hero, Matt Hardy. I was a little unfulfilled at that point. I was like, well, what do I do now? So that's when I had to kind of bring it full circle. As Shinran, I was hiding from my past. I was hiding from charade. I'm a different boom, boom. I had to embrace what made me who I was. I had to find my Zen, so to speak. Zenshi means complete history. So now, embracing my past, you got the Phoenix on one side, you got the dragon on the other. We are now complete. I'm more of a complete artist. I'm not just a high flyer. I'm the aerial artist. Mm-hmm. So going back to everybody does a flatliner, everybody does a cutter, every high flyer does a moonsault, I try to really change the game. I don't do 450s off the top rope. I do it off the bottom rope.
Mm-hmm.
I do a 630 off the second rope. I'm the only one on the planet that does that. My arsenal is primarily of moves I created. I'm the aerial artist. I'm a step above these guys. Like Khabib Nurmagomedov says, these guys can't hang with me. I'm a step above. I just might have to retire, Rob. These guys can't hang. And then Court Bauer is going to have meetings with me trying to get me back to the table. Maybe we got to switch it up.
Whenever you do retire, make sure you stay retired, goddammit. Don't make me cry.
Make sure I stay retired. I'm going to remember every time I want to come back to the comeback fight, I'm going to have you in my head. Oh, wait a minute. Rob's going to be disappointed.
Yeah. You sit there nodding in disapproval. But I wouldn't fault you, though, because I understand what you're doing. I mean, you're a man, and you daggone, if you ain't fulfilled, you got to get something done. You got to get it off your chest. You got to daggone do it. You got to do it. And I got to respect you for that. But don't think I have to like it, though.
Hey, we got a long way before I'm thinking about having the retirement, leaving the gloves in the ring talk. So, let's keep it pushing. We got things to do.
Very well. Well, speaking of things we got to do, because I got to wrap up some stuff around here. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and it's been a pleasure to have you. I wish you all the success in everything that you do. Before you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and what you got going on, man.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate it. It's been a cool natural flow too. Some other shows, it's like, okay, 5, 4, countdown. Make sure you blah blah blah. You're just right into it. I love the energy, bro. So keep it up. You can find me primarily at Instagram at the aerial artist. Twitter suspended me for no reason a couple of months ago. It's kind of crazy. I log in. I barely post on Twitter. It's not my thing, but I was in a tweeting mood. I'm like, I'm going to tweet today. I log into my Twitter. I make my tweet, my one tweet of the month, and I go to press it and it says, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? And it says, there's no reason. You're just suspended. And I'm like, why? And I write to support and I get no answer. And I'm like, why? So me and Twitter aren't happy right now. So it's Instagram. It's facebook.com/the aerial artist. You can go to luchaware.art, buy some sick gear. You can find Zeta Zhang gear. You can find some Calvin Tankman gear. Laredo Kid is coming down the pipeline. Myron Reed. You got Brian Pillman Jr. is coming. You got Hammerstone. You got Zenshi merch. The Woad. Damian Tangra. I'm doing all the shout outs right now. You got Ryo. Who else I got? You can get you a Vanity Wrestle Bay face mask. You can get you a Larry Legend Smiles Are Contagious face mask. You can get you, how about Facade? Everybody loves the Neon Ninja. You can go with, what about Bolivian legend Viva Mortis? Really cool stuff at Luchaware. Come check us out. Come support us. And that's it. The aerial artist, the South American Zenshi, signing off.
So as it is for every guest of the Random Realms with Rob, you've been a guest, and the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing or just to come shoot the shit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to be sending you more of my luchadors from the League of Luchadors. So you're going to have a steady stream of content if you so want it.
Hey, I so much appreciate it.
There we go. Peace.
All right. We clear. I'll chop this up. The video will probably come out before the audio does. And I'll be sure to tag you in it and all the other stuff.
Yeah, do it.
So whenever it's out, I'll let you know and give you a heads up. I appreciate your time, man. I really do.
Yeah, this has been great. Appreciate it, man.
Take
Glad
it
we
easy,
could do
bro.
it. Good night.
You too.